guys, it's the 8th house Siren, and today we're going to be talking about self-care based on your moon sign. The fall seems to be typically a busy season for a lot of people. I know it's a busy season for me, people in school. It might start to get busier for you in the fall. So I thought it would be a good time to discuss taking care of yourself. As we have learned, our moon sign gives us insight to the way in which we deal with our emotions and our habits. In health astrology, the moon is an indicator of our bodily functions. A lot of medical astrologers will even use the transits of the moon to schedule certain medical procedures. Now, we are not doing that today because I'm not a medical astrologer, but I do know a great deal about health astrology and how you can use the moon as a guide to taking better care of yourself. The moon tends to bring fluctuation to whatever area in your life it's affecting. So since the moon rules our bodily functions, the sign in which your moon is in can give you insight to what types of fluctuations you'll deal with as it pertains to your health. And as we have learned, each sign rules over a certain body part. Aries rules the head. So if you have moon in Aries, you might deal with fluctuation when it comes to migraines, whether you get migraines or not, tension, headaches, inability to focus, or mental fogginess. Aries also rules the amount of energy we have. So if your moon is in Aries, overall you might feel as though you have bursts of energy randomly. So sometimes it's hard to kind of pinpoint the right times to get work done because you never know how your energy is going to be. And sometimes this can cause a lack of sleep, which can cause twitching of the muscles in your face. Just a tip, if you fall asleep as soon as your head hits the pillow, that is an indicator that you are sleep deprived. Sleep experts say that it should take you somewhere between 10 and 20 minutes to fall asleep. Normalizing your sleep schedule will not only help you better determine or better regulate your energy, but it will also help with migraines and tension headaches if you suffer from those things. Something else that will help with migraines and tension headaches are cold compresses on the head and the back of the neck. Taurus rules the throat. So if you have moon in Taurus, you might deal with fluctuations in your throat health. So, frequent irritation of the throat, losing your voice more often. If you are a singer, you might be more susceptible to issues with the vocal cords. If you do sing, try to use proper vocal techniques so you're not putting unnecessary strain on your voice. Tea is your best friend. Try to find teas made specifically for soothing the throat. If you have a job that requires you to do a lot of talking, try to be cognizant of taking sips of water in between presentations or things like that. You might also deal with a lot of phlegm in your throat on a regular basis. If that's the case, there are actually a list of foods that cause our bodies to produce more mucus. So, it might benefit you to look up that list online, figure out what those foods are and try to avoid them as best as you can, or at least try to minimize the amount of those foods that you eat. So Gemini rules the hands and the lungs. So if you have moon in Gemini, you might deal with fluctuation when it comes to the health of your hands, more specifically dry skin on the hands. Gemini is an air sign, so dryness on the hands. Sometimes if you do a lot of typing or a lot of working with your hands, braiding hair, something like that, dealing with carpal tunnel. When it comes to the lungs, Gemini moons, they might be more susceptible to being sensitive to the air in their environment. So dealing with asthma or breathing issues and things like that. Gemini moons, I know y'all love those sweet smelling lotions, and that is fine, but I would not recommend using those on your hands. You want to use something that is specifically for dry skin on your hands so that they can remain moisturized all day. Believe it or not, if you have a job where you're working with a lot of paper or documents, that actually dries out your hands as well. So maybe keep a little bottle of lotion at your desk or something like that. If you have a job where you're doing a lot of repetitive movement with your hands, it's extra important for you to exercise your shoulders and your forearms to prevent strain on your wrists. There are exercises that you can find online to prevent things like hand cramping, wrist cramping, and carpal tunnel, so definitely look those up. Like I said, Gemini rules the lungs. So with Moon in Gemini, you might have sensitivity when it comes to your lungs, the air that you breathe. So if you can, you might want to invest in an air humidifier or an air purifier for your home, or at least in the room where you spend the most time. If you work in an office, maybe have like a little mini type of air purifier situation at your desk. So the moon is at home in Cancer. So you have a hypersensitivity to your intuition anyway. And so Cancer rules the stomach and the chest. So I've noticed that a lot of stomach issues with Cancer moons are associated with anxiety from when they are unable to follow their gut or follow their intuition. There are times you might literally feel nauseous if you are not going with your intuition. Something that helps with nausea is ginger. So if you're able to add ginger in some of your meals, or I believe there's also ginger supplements out there, ginger gummies, that might help you. Also be intentional with what you eat. You're very susceptible to dealing with certain food choices kind of zapping your energy. I've noticed that a lot of Cancer moons also complain of having extra tender or painful breast during the time of their period, like pain that sometimes is unbearable. It does help to try to cut back on salt, sugar, caffeine, and dairy the weeks before your period. So Leo rules the hair and it rules the heart and arteries. So if your moon is in Leo, the health of your hair might fluctuate. So my advice to you is try to leave your hair alone, or at the very least try to avoid like chemical treatments on the hair. You also want to minimize stress as much as you can. Some Leo moons, including myself, deal with heart palpitations because, like I said, Leo rules the heart. Stress also can cause the hair to thin and things like that. So just try your best to, and I know Leos, especially Leo moons, like they have the need to kind of be on all the time. Like they always feel like they have to perform, and living your life like that can be so stressful. So just remind yourself that you are not on the stage. Give yourself like a few deep breaths in between interacting or socializing with others so that you can recenter yourself. I believe that concept of centering yourself might have something to do with like the heart chakra. If anyone is like into chakras or anything like that, comment below and let me know if I am correct in making that connection. But yes, Leo moons. So that's my advice for you. So I call people with their moon in Virgo people with the Princess and the Pea placement because they have sensitivity to literally everything. Virgo rules the nervous system, the intestines, and the sinuses. So those are the areas that are generally affected by Virgo moon's environment. They tend to have a lot of allergies. You might know a Virgo moon who is like literally always congested or like always dealing with like a runny nose or like sinus drainage or something like that. It's really beneficial for Virgo moons to like keep a food journal so that they can keep track of what they're eating and how each type of food is making them feel, so that they can easily pinpoint allergies a little quicker. It might do you some good to go to the doctor and get like one of those allergy tests where they like prick your hand or something to figure out what exactly you're allergic to. Virgo moons, you should really listen to this episode. It's an episode on a podcast called the Food Heaven Podcast, and they were talking with a doctor about how to improve like your gut health and digestive health and things like that. So yeah, you might want to give that a listen because I feel like that episode was made especially for you. Also, I know a lot of Virgo moons who enjoy the tree, if you know what I mean. It just, that's fine. I know it calms your nerves. So just be cognizant of like, is that the only thing it's doing? Are you using it as a crutch? Is it, preventing you from being productive? So like, just try to monitor that. So Libra rules the skin, kidneys, and the butt. So you will deal with fluctuation in these areas. Be careful with what you put on your skin. If you are trying new skin products, try to introduce them to your body one at a time so that you can easily pinpoint if you have an allergy to any of the new products. I know you love sweet smelling perfumes and things like that. You like trying new perfumes. Again, try those one at a time, because if you experience skin irritation, you need to be able to figure out which one is causing the skin irritation. If you're contemplating any type of cosmetic surgery or procedure, like a lot of Libra moons tend to do, just go to someone reputable, because like I said, you're susceptible to skin irritation that includes skin infections. So, just do your research, go to someone that you trust. So Scorpio rules the reproductive system and the colon. So the key here is to take charge of your reproductive health. So if you see any changes or experience any changes with like your monthly cycle, speak up. If you experience pain that is unusual, do not let doctors dismiss it. If you have a dismissive doctor, it is time to look for another one. But being attentive to your reproductive health means that you have to know yourself, right? You have to know what's regular and what isn't. Scorpio is all about being like investigative, so you have to be really in tune with yourself to know if something is off. So just take the time to analyze, like, okay, how am I feeling during this period? Like, you know what I mean? Even go as far as to write down like the symptoms that you normally experience, so that if you experience something different that's not on that list, you know that maybe you should schedule a checkup. You should be getting a pap smear every 3 years anyway. That goes for all of my ladies that are looking at this video. As a Scorpio moon, you may also experience, or you might also be more susceptible to like irritation when you're shaving down there. So exfoliate. Exfoliation is your best friend. If you just can't get it right and every single time you get razor bumps or just like unwanted like scarring and things out there when you shave, maybe it's time to put it in the hands of a professional. Scorpio rules other people's resources, so outsourcing is your best friend. So, if you want to go somewhere and like get waxed instead of like always having to shave, go and do that, girl. Sagittarius rules the liver, thighs, and hips. So those are the areas that you kind of like experience ups and downs when it comes to your health as a Sagittarius moon. First tip is, I know y'all like to walk off injuries. And sometimes that's fine, like for minor injuries, but for the most part, you cannot walk off everything. Properly deal with injuries. Because especially when like with the hips and thighs, you don't want to prolong your injury, right? You might feel fine now, and then like months down the road, the injury resurfaces because you didn't deal with it properly. Sagittarius is, it's a very happy-go-lucky type of energy. Everything will be fine, but sometimes that can bite you in the butt. As I said, Sagittarius also rules the liver, so be careful with that alcohol intake. I don't really see it a lot for Sagittarius moons to have like an alcohol dependency, but they love to have a good time. So when they drink, they drank. So just be cognizant of that. And of course, be careful with any medication that is processed through the liver. Take the medication as directed, Sagittarius, because sometimes y'all don't read. Sagittarius is like the bigger picture. Read the directions in your medications. Capricorn rules the joints, bones, and teeth. You want to make sure your calcium is where it's supposed to be. Calcium supplements are a thing. Stay on top of teeth cleanings. You are supposed to go to the dentist to get your biannual cleaning twice a year or every 6 months. So make sure you do that. Try not to brush off like any aches and pains that you feel in your mouth. go ahead and make a dentist appointment. Make sure it's not anything serious. So Aquarius rules the ankles, calves, and shins. A lot of Aquarius moons that I know always complain about their ankles. Really easy solution to that is just to get ankle braces to wear when you are being extra active or when you go to the gym. Aquarius also rules technology, so if you work around a lot of technology, or I should say electricity rather, just be careful. You don't have to work super fast. Take your time, be intentional about what you're doing, read all directions. But also technology as far as like if, you know, Aquarius moons are more susceptible to health issues as it pertains to using technologies. For example, having strained eyes or watery eyes due to screen time, whether it's on your phone or on your laptop, having neck issues because you're always like looking at your phone. Pisces rules the feet and the lymph nodes. Pedicures hit differently for y'all. Don't feel guilty about getting that pedicure every week and a half, every 2 weeks, every week. Do you. Do what you can to protect your feet, because some Pisces moons I know, they deal with foot pain, more specifically on the arch of the foot. So, try to minimize the time you spend wearing heels if you can. The little foot gel pads might do well for you. You might find that it doesn't take much for your lymph nodes to swell. I don't know very much about it, but there is a lymphatic drainage procedure that apparently a lot of health spas do. You might want to research that if that is something you feel like you'd be into. Pisces moons, just like I said to Sag moons, be careful with the alcohol intake. But for you specifically, be cognizant about how you're using alcohol, or better yet, your relationship with alcohol. So that's all I have for self-care tips based on your moon sign. Hopefully this was helpful. If you heard something that resonates with you, comment below. If you like this video, give it a like. If you think you're gonna like this channel, go ahead and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.